Airports in a nutshell.
Airports. If you've been lucky enough to travel internationally or have ever been on a plane, you've most likely passed through an airport at least once in your life. And boy, are they an experience. Now, I first need to mention, if you have a flight book super early in the morning, like 4, 5 a.m, everything is glorious. Sure, you have to wake up early and all, but you have that brimming excitement that it's the day of the trip, peacefully driving through.
No, waking up early for a flight is only enjoyable if you're going somewhere, not coming back. And then leaving late is also a pain because then you know you have so many things you have to do when you get back. Like, I love early flights home because I was able to do a few things. Like, I had to wake up at 4:30 today to come back from Texas. But I was able to get done before I had a stream.
Through the night, dark, empty roads. You've reached the airport. It's basically empty. And you're through and waiting for your plane in no time. It's seamless. Mwah! Perfect. But if, like most people, you've booked a flight in the height of the summer months, at the weekend, peak travel time, you may have just signed yourself up to hell on earth. So you've booked your tickets for your big summer getaway. You've done all the prep. You've gone out and bought yet another pair of shorts as part of your holiday clothes shopping, even though you've got 4 perfectly fine pairs at home from
Yo, today I got mad at okay, this is a problem. People that take too long to take their overhead baggage out of the overhead baggage area annoy the out of me.
Previous years. You've somehow managed to wrangle all your clothes into your suitcase, and you've finally made it to the airport. So when you step through those revolving glass doors, the first thing you have to do is, of course, check in. That dreaded moment when you look across all the airline check-in desks. Most of them are pretty bare, and yours is rammed. Now, if you've already checked in online and you're just travelling with a singular backpack as hand luggage, lucky you smart arse. But if you have a suitcase like the majority of us, get in line, buddy. Snake queues everywhere.
I feel like airports have gotten better at it with the self-service kiosks. Now, mostly every airport I go to, there's not that big of a line at check-in. Like, you used to have to, say you had a flight, an international flight, you're supposed to show up way earlier because there's, like, customs, all this other stuff, and you have to, like, be prepared, blah, 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 with your passport, any other shit. But say you had, like, a regular state-to-state flight at 8 in the morning, you were supposed to show up at, like, fucking 5 because you have to be there 3 hours before to fucking stand in line. Now, at most airports, on, like, even a decently packed time, where you're going to stand in line is just security. Especially if you're not TSA pre-check. And I never understand that. TSA pre. Like, I've gotten TSA pre-check one time. I don't even know why I got it. But I never understand how we just trust that some people aren't terrorists.
I mentioned these little buggers in the Conventions in a Nutshell video. And quite literally said this. The snake queue. We've all experienced one at some point in our lives. Listen to any airport. It's the classic back and forth queue design. Very space efficient. It's just a part of the experience, stuck behind so many people. Families, elderly people, families of elderly people. But when you do eventually make it to the front of the queue, and you now resemble the pensioners that were in front of you, you hand over your passport, and that moment we all know too well.
Where they ask you the very basic question, when you're at security, and you're like, just act normal, just act normal. So what's your name? Because they're looking at your ID. What's your name? And at that moment, you've just, it's like you just got hit with a fucking, a Men in Black fucking screen wipe. You have no idea. What's your name?
Employee behind the desk kind of holds your passport photo up to your face to check the resemblance. Now, what do you do in this scenario? If you're anything like me, your passport photo was taken 7 years ago and frankly looks nothing like you. So I kind of stand there and try and subtly make myself look as much like the photo as possible, changing my expression.
I just stand there. I just mean mug it. Like, when we had to leave today, they had to take a picture of my face to match to my, like, ID instead of the guy looking at me. And this is how I took my driver's license photo, and this is how I stare for every legal document. Like, motherfuckers that smile in their license photos. I didn't even know that was allowed for a while. I thought you had to mean mug it. Because I feel like you should just be stone cold. You should, whenever, if it's like to look like you should just be like literally like a mugshot. Just look.
Moving my hair around a little bit, like that would make any difference. Well, once you've passed the resemblance test, that was merely the beginning. Next is the suitcase weighing. So different airlines offer different maximum.
Yo, you gotta be the people that let you over the limit by like 2 pounds are fucking goats. Brooke's suitcase always weighs too much. I hope she doesn't hear me when I say that. Her suitcase always weighs too much. I'm like, she's like, what airline are we flying? And because some airlines, it's like 40 pounds or 50 pounds. I'll be like, you got to keep it under this. She'll be like, okay. It's always like 53, but they'll let it slide. And I'm like, you're a fucking goat. But then there's that one person that's like, your bag's overweight. Do you want to pay the extra $50 or do you want to take something out? And I'm like, dude.
On the conveyor, I feel the hot sweats coming on, like a middle-aged woman going through the menopause. I mean, nobody wants to be that guy whose suitcase is way over the maximum.
Yo, I always get scared, though, when there's a drug-sniffing dog, because I'm always like, oh, did I forget to take the weed off of me?
Weight, then you're forced to either pay the price of a Boeing 737 to add some extra weight, or humiliate yourself by sitting on the floor and removing items from your case, hoping you've just gone under the max weight. And also, what
I've done that so many times.
is with those signs on the check-in desk that list the items that you can't have in your suitcase? Now, this would be fine, but they always say no firearms or explosives. What is the point of that? Just a list of the most obvious things to not pack in your...
Because people are fucking stupid and don't know. Like when we watched the Talk to a podcast and Haley Welch didn't know that she couldn't bring a box cutter on an airplane. When I was in Wyoming, they actually had guns, or not guns. They actually had signs everywhere that were like, you can't bring guns on airplanes. Like actually had to explain to Wyoming citizens that it's illegal to bring a gun on an airplane.
Put aside, you stand and watch as your suitcase disappears through that little flap into the abyss as you salute it, and you just have to trust them that it gets on the plane. That suitcase could be heading anywhere for all I know.
You ever have a fucking airline lose your baggage? I went to Florida one time and that happened, and they were like, yeah, your bag's in like Nebraska. I don't even know where they said it. It was some state that was like in the Midwest. It might have been like Nevada. I was like, how the fuck did my bag get? They put it on the wrong plane. I don't know how, because they have those fucking barcodes that you scan it, and they put it on the wrong plane. And so I just had my own, I had like my base outfit for like a day and a half, and they had to fly it back. And then like the next night they drove it to the place we were staying. Because then if they lose it, they're required to bring it to you.
So you finally conquered the check-in desk, the queues, the passport check, the bag weight. You've got your boarding pass. Don't lose it. But trust me, that is nothing. Because next, the most dreaded part, security. Now, despite the name, as I approach, I am feeling anything but secure. You take one step in the room, guards everywhere with...
Get your hats and hoodies off. If you got a laptop in your bag, take it out! If you got a hoodie on, take it off! Just 4 a.m. You're like, literally, you're barely awake. They didn't do that in Texas. That's Philly airport. Philly or New York. If I ever fly out of Philly, New York, Newark, anything in the Northeast, if you got a hoodie on, take it off! He just starts screaming like he's a goddamn drill sergeant.
Sniffer dogs. And in the...
Then the grandma that's hard of hearing makes the fucking blunder to ask this man the same question that he's been repeating loudly. Am I allowed to keep my shoes on? Ma'am, how old are you? 64. Take them off!
The guards. And unlike you US viewers, it's not every day us English folk see a, how do you say, firearm. I mean, the only time I see these things is in video games. There's even more snake cues, machines making random noises. Before you even get close to the action, it's already pretty intimidating. And if that's not scary enough, security is far from simple. There are so many steps and rules. So when I finally get called up, the first up...
Bro, unlace your shoes while you're in line. Basic common courtesy. If you're some dickhead that's gonna start unlacing your shoes when you get to the fucking conveyor belt, you just don't understand pre-planning.
Obstacle. The trays before the metal detectors. So it's hand luggage in one tray, but electricals have to go separate. Then it's liquids of 100 ml in another place, in a plastic bag. Empty your pockets.
You just don't bring liquids, dude. You just you put the laptop somewhere else. Put the bag in with the shoes, the wallet, throw everything in.
Sign here, chunk of hair here, swab your mouth here. It's all so overwhelming. Then you're rushing because there's 700 people behind you. And I don't even know where I stand on the clothing situation in security anymore. A few years ago, your shoes had to come off. Now they don't, but your belt has to go in. And sometimes your jackets do.
Nah, your shoes still gotta go off.
Sometimes they don't. And hoodies do, but coats don't. I honestly have no...
And I never understand, like even today, we're going through the line, and there's these 4 women that are around my age, and they just get to go through the little beep scanner where it's like you're walking into like a nightclub where it just checks for metal. Oh, but me, I have to go fucking spread your legs. And it goes, and then I go and it fucking highlights the areas that are of my body that they gotta fucking pat me down. Like, how do they determine who gets to go through what?
No clue. To be honest, I just stripped fully naked to be on the safe side. So as all your prized possessions sail away in tiny grey trays, it's finally time to step up to the metal detectors. Oh, these bad boys are designed to make the strongest-willed man break down.
I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight.
Now it just
Highlights your wiener. Dude, I always think that's hilarious, though. Because I'm not going to be pressed, right? Like, if they got to pat me down. But it's always funny when it like highlights your crotch and they're like, okay, sir, I'm going to be using the back of my hands. It's going to be a quick brush. I'm like, you're good, dog. And then I'm looking over to my friend that's standing 30 feet away, just staring at me, have a 45-year-old man just drag the back of his hands against my nutsack. And I'm sitting there just going,
piece of metal on me, removed fillings, taken out hip replacements, have 0 drugs on me, not even a packet of polos. When I step through those things, they will always go off. These things aren't metal detectors, they are me detectors. You walk in, make that stupid pose, and then without fail, beep, beep, beep. Everybody looks at you like you're some sort of dangerous criminal. Over to this side, please, sir. Where you then, frankly, get violated. Now, just to get serious for a second, fun fact about me. I actually have an orthopedic heel in my right shoe under my foot because I have a lifelong condition called being a loser. But no, I have sadly been cursed with a condition called scoliosis. So whilst your spine looks like this, mine looks like this. Thankfully, it doesn't impact my life too much, and most people wouldn't even realise I have it by looking at me, but it does mean I pretty much have to constantly wear a little chunk of rubber tucked under my right heel to straighten me out and stop any pain. Well, airport staff seem to love it. Without fail, it is taken off me and put through a special drug detection machine for...
Yo, and it's always like the simplest shit. Yo, they'll fucking scan a bag of high-tech technology just 10 seconds. A bag of Lay's chips. Hold up. And it's like, you hear like clicking. Beep, 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 beep. And you're watching the guy just hyper zoom in and out. And he's going with the mouse and he's scrolling in. Can I get a rescan on number 3? Coming right up, boss. He fucking slides it back over.
Like I'm Pablo Escobar, smuggling a wad of Colombian snow in my sweat-soaked orthopathetic heel. And even though I know, of course, I have no drugs, I panic and start to look so guilty that I actually start to convince myself that I am smuggling drugs. And let's just be honest for a second here. In a universe...
You convince yourself that you just blacked out one day and shoved cocaine in your heel unknowingly right before a trip to Punta Cana.
First, where I was a drug smuggler, why would I humiliate myself by putting drugs in an orthopedic heel? That's not cool at all. I'd put them somewhere way cooler, like up my bum or something. And you know what I said earlier about putting liquids in a clear bag? Make sure that you have checked everything. Because if you leave anything over 100 ml on its own, or any aerosols, your bag will be separated and swabbed. Then, you really do look guilty. You'll get pulled into a side room and interrogated because you've left half a Capri Sun.
No, they would not. They pull you to the side, they go through your shit, and they ask you questions. I've had that before. Where I have friends and family members that are allergic to shit. They'll just bring their EpiPens with them. They'll pull out the bag. They'll be like, "What is this?" And you have to explain.
On its own without a plastic bag. Well, once you've made it through the detectors, dodged an international drug trafficking list, and reobtained all your possessions, if security is hell, the next area is a heavenly place. Duty free. So simply put, duty free is just a store area of the airport that sells things with no VAT. So everything is way cheaper. And you'll know when you've made it to duty free because the air...
Yo, you know a crime that everybody commits is going through customs back into the United States where they say, Did you purchase anything or bring anything back that's not from this country? Knowing damn well my entire suitcase is full of foreign goods. Everything. Did you bring anything back?
What I imagine Jeremy Fragrance's apartment smells like.
Oh, people don't know that I'm not wearing underwear.
Male models' faces
What?
all over the walls with fragrances you've never even heard of, but who cares, because everything is so cheap. Sunglasses, sun cream, aftershave, neck pillows, M&Ms weirdly everywhere for some reason. You can buy a 3-litre bottle of Jack Daniels for about £5. Duty free is truly the alcoholic's paradise. Stock up, buy gifts for friends and family, and then you have every
Oh yeah, that fucking 5-pound Toblerone bar.
English bloke rushing to buy ciggies in bulk to sell to their mates down the pub to make a cheeky profit like they're Alan Sugar, if Alan Sugar promoted lung cancer. So once you make it out of duty free, you are a free man. The rest of the airport is yours to peruse. There's even more shops to explore, but don't be
Yo, you're really hyping this shit up, dude. The shops at airports are fucking terrible. Everything's overpriced. You ever pass like one of those fucking like Beats stores or like a fucking machine that sells Legos? I'm like, these are going to be fucking 30% more than they would be at any other fucking store. Why would I buy it here? If you see somebody shopping at a jewelry store in an airport, they are fucking filthy rich or an idiot. One of the two.
Not everywhere in the airport is too. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The obligatory airport Burger King can be double the price, so stay vigilant, travellers. And some of the stores in airports are so weird. I don't know about you guys, but when I pack for a holiday, I already have all my clothes prepared in my suitcase before I come to the airport. I mean, sure, the odd hat or a pair of glasses, but why is there a JD selling a full Nike Tech Fleece tracksuit in the airport? I mean, I know it's England and all, but come on. I'm not just going to whack that baby on whilst I'm walking around the beach in the 30-degree heat in the...
Do you buy stuff at airport stores? This is what I do. I get through airport security. I walk to one of the snack shops. I buy 2 Cliff Bars. I used to buy beef jerky. Now I buy chicken jerky in 2 water bottles. I give one to Brooke. Then I go to Dunkin'. I get a coffee and probably some shitty fucking breakfast meal. Then I leave.
Just casually buy a Rolex before you fly. So amongst relaxing and doing some shopping, your only next big challenge is your gate number. You'll have to wait ages for it to appear on one of the many various screens. These screens will be your best friend until you board the plane. Now this wait can be pretty boring, so sit around, eat some food, have a drink.
Yo, I just sleep on the floor, bitch. I don't care how dirty that shit is either. I got a fucking 8 a.m. flight. I got an hour until I fucking board, and I came to the airport mad early because there wasn't a line. Y'all just fucking lay down in the middle of the ground.
That you're gonna be on. Funny story about this, actually. So when I flew to Amsterdam a few years ago for TwitchCon, I knew it would only be around a 45-minute long flight. So as I sat down near a window and waited for my plane to roll in, I was met with horror as I realised it was one of those dinky propeller planes. I mean, I'm a pretty nervous flyer already, and it doesn't help when you see them pumping up the tiny rubber tyres and using their iPhone flashlights to check the underside of the wing and the propellers that rattled as they spun. I mean, to be completely honest,
Or whenever they tell you, like when I was coming back today, they're like, if you have a seat by a window or by the wing, you have to keep your window open. Is that so, like, if a bolt comes flying off the plane, somebody says something? Why do they make you do that? When they're like, if you're by a wing seat, you have to open your window.
to be honest with you, after everything I'd seen, I didn't even think the plane would make it off the runway, never mind making it to Amsterdam. The flight was of course all okay. I mean, I did...
Yes, you should say something if you see it. What if I just mean mug it? I just see, a fire doesn't start, but when the plane takes off, I see 10 screws just go loose and fly off the wing of the plane. And I just nonchalantly turn my head back and stare at the back of the seat in front of me. I just don't. I put my windshield down and I just go. Just banking that we'll make it.
The propellers bending as they spun until I looked to my...
Yeah, that's what the outside of the plane looks like. They're getting ready to fucking get onto the tarmac, take off.
When I saw the propellers...
Like, Are we in Mad Max?
bending as they
Oh, is that a new jet engine?
spawn, until I looked to my left and realised a little girl had overheard me and she burst into tears. Yet again, Amsterdam's airport, Schiphol. Fellas, I pray you never, ever experience that airport. Being the 4th busiest in Europe, it is gigantic. It is far too big. I mean, there was screens telling you how long the walk to your gate would be, with some of the times being over 25 minutes. Just to walk there. In Schiphol, you need to take a flight to get to your flight. A truly hellish experience. They do have a cool clock though. Wow, look at that. There's a little man trapped in there.
Working on a weekend like usual. Working on a weekend like usual.
Anyway,
Is that how the time changes every minute?
you finally finish your mammoth expedition and make it to your gate. You sit down, let out a sigh of relief as your legs throb. You can finally relax as you take a glimpse over at the screen and realise the gate has moved. It happens every single time.
I feel like that doesn't happen to me. Does that happen to you guys? I'm feeling like this is European airports.
And just a tip, if you are ever in a French-speaking country and your flight has a delay, never read the word out loud. So when you eventually make it to the right gate, if you can still stand, you hop in the queue and everyone starts boarding. First, the people in the fast twat queue, then the other commoners. So you slowly edge towards the front. Don't worry, you've got this. Nothing else can go wrong now. You hand the kind worker your pass.
You're just if you're past like zone 6 or group 6, just don't even get on the plane until last call. Like motherfuckers crowding around. Hey, they're boarding group 2. Are you the person to the left of you? Hey, what group are you? They're just like keenly standing there waiting to get in line. I'm group 10. Oh, so why the fuck are you standing here?
Passport. They scan it, hand it back to you, give you a big smile, and they say in
I hate that shit where it's like, now boarding first class. Now boarding our diamond members. Everybody, we are now going to be boarding groups 1, Sapphire, and Emerald. Now we're boarding group 2, Ruby, and Gold. Okay, now we have Gold 3 in the Villager class. Group 4, and we're going to let in our silver members. Like, what the fuck?
you relive the moment as you walk down the air bridge. But who cares? Congratulations, you've conquered the airport. Go forth, young Padawan, get on your plane, sit down, and revel in the experience of 3 screaming babies, someone ripping a fart, no leg room, uncomfy chairs, and mediocre food for 4 hours. And isn't it funny that there's no Wi-Fi on board, but the card reader...
Yo, I love farting on airplanes, dude. I love farting on airplanes. Because, yo, even if they think it's you, they ain't gonna say shit.
Small tube of Pringles works just fine. But remember, you may have made it through one airport, but there is always a second on the other side. It's like the airport you came from in your home country, but on hard difficulty. It's usually much hotter, and you don't understand a word anyone...
I found poop in the sink at an airport. Wow. Dude, that must have been a fucking 007 operation to get that down without anybody fucking coming through.
Case comes out before yours, and even though you paid extra for your case to go on first, all that means is that on the other end, it comes out last. But eventually, you see it. Your suitcase. It's emerged from the darkness. It's survived the abyss. It slowly moves ever closer to you. You reach out your hand. You are a free man. Go and enjoy your vacation. You deserve it. Then you look at your watch and realise it's 10 minutes until your flight home because a week has passed whilst you're waiting for your case. Sure, airports are a pain. They're hectic, they're stressful, they're tiresome. But you know what? Sometimes they're nostalgic. The airport can be the host of that energetic pre-vacation excitement, knowing you're travelling to a new and exciting place that you've never been. And I always recommend travelling with friends. It makes it all so much more fun. Sometimes the travel there can be just as enjoyable. Airports are a bit of a challenge, but once you're living it up in the sun, climbing a mountain, or seeing the wonders of the world, it makes it all worth it. Except for Schiphol. And with all of that said... Wait! Dave, what are you doing here? This is kind of, you know, my line. Mate, did you not watch the last video? I'm doing ad reads from now on. You've missed a lot.
Oh, is this an ad? I'm so sorry. I'm skipping this, Giuseppe. I love your videos. I really enjoyed that, even though I just kind of went on an off-topic rant about peeing for 20 minutes.